Everything all good?
All facts.
Everything's working? We're up. Good morning. I'd like to welcome you to the Tuesday, February 28th meeting of the St. Joseph County Board of Commissioners. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And something happened at BOC, you're not working with Kirk, nothing?
My nephew. He got free stuff.
His old. Anything on this? Okay. First item on the agenda is the accounts payable docket. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Commissioner Fleming, how do you vote?
It's so moved, and I'll say second.
How do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Dieter, how do you vote? Commissioner Baxmer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next. Enjoyable part of our meeting, we'd like to recognize our employees of the month. Sky, you do your, I think Deb's got a little introduction to read.
Yeah, and it is my honor to announce that the employee or employees of the month are the entire archives department. Last year, they were in the process of having new shelving built, and everyone was all hands on deck. Moving pallets, building the shelves, taking boxes down, putting boxes back. When one person was ready for a break, another stepped in. In total, they moved 5,621 boxes. This is a great team, and we want to recognize them for that. Let's give a big round of applause again for the employees of the month. And we have Sherry Roldan, Randy Ray, Miguel Oviado, and Laura Johnson. Yay!
Well, before you get to talk, I can talk, because I've been to that building a lot and appreciate what everybody does. If you haven't visited it, you can go back there and find Buddy Curtis's records from the late 70s. You can find just about anything you want, and they will lead you exactly to it. We purchased that building. We put a new roof. They're still on the far north thing. We do have to do some roof working there. You got that done? Brian did?
No, not yet. When they do the suppression and the door to connecting, that's when that'll.
Okay. Cool. But yeah, if you haven't toured that building, I think we're gonna get cameras. Mr. Warfield, are you working on cameras?
Yes,
Okay. Okay.
I was just out there the other day.
But again, if you haven't visited it, they do a ton of work. Putting stuff on film and everything. So again, all the stuff that you guys do. I know that now we have a deep clean and our maintenance people will be helping you guys clean that. And anything else you want, because you all went out to Portage Manor, got their records, you went out to Dukem and cleaned up that. So we really appreciate all the work you all doing.
Thank you.
Well, I'm one of the people who has not gotten that through yet, and I certainly. Eric makes a good suggestion. I will get out there. And, you know, that's a department that's one of the unsung departments. It is important, and glad to recognize the work that you do.
Thanks.
And any other comments?
So I nominated everybody for the work that they do, not just, Katrina Carter, County Archivist, Director, 1140 South Lafayette. I just wanted to say thank you to everybody, because at the end of last year, we had two huge projects going. Like Commissioner Dieter mentioned, Portage Manor, which we cleaned out, I think it was like 3 rooms. And Laura was a big part of that. She was there 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, helping to get that all cleaned out, which is especially why I wanted to recognize her for that. I do appreciate everything you've done for us, and thank you. And then the rest of the staff, Sherry, Randy, and Miguel. Anytime any of us are off or sick, there's only a department of 5. we're all cross-trained. They can step up in any of our roles and take over for anybody. And I do appreciate that with being such a small staff. We have over 30,000 boxes, over 100,000 records inventoried. We're a small department with a lot of records. So thank you for everything that you do and for coming into work and being my staff.
So here's Sherry Rowe Lopez.
Sherry Rao.
Sherry Rowe, yeah. I'm sorry, Sherry Rowe Lopez. Here's this for you. Yeah, stay here.
Okay.
And then let's have Randy Ray. Randy Ray.
You walk around the office to find him.
This is yours. Your finger. We're gonna put it in a second. And Miguel Abiado. And Laura Johnson. Hey. This is yours here too. Oh, that's yours. Okay.
I don't
We
see
get a-
these on eBay later.
Yes, sir.
Let's walk around.
This is yours.
Picture.
So yeah, we're gonna.
Should we open these up?
Okay.
Should we?
Whatever you want.
When they take the photos.
Laura. Maybe we had to get you here. Yeah. That's what I'm doing. We have time. Katrina in here. Katrina should be in here.
Sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Long time.
Here, get in the middle.
That's fine.
Like school
Yeah, I'm
picture.
short. I'll
Sports
hide.
picture, get down like, yeah, one of these right there.
Mask off? All right. All right, thank you.
Thank
You.
you.
Now you all qualify for our bank. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
She's getting sick. I just want to message. Come visit anytime. She's doing great. Like. It doesn't matter.
You guys leave, you're gonna stick around. No, like my office is the open door, and there's t-shirts in there. Just grab a t-shirt. For bank with the other commissioner approval. $29.95.
But, yeah.
Cool.
But we have to say too, I was gonna say on behalf of those guys too. She's wonderful. She's a great boss, so.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Grab a t-shirt in my office.
Oh, okay,
There's banquet t-shirts and commissioner too.
thank you.
I'm gonna charge you for this long.
Bye, Laura.
Yay. Gotta have fun. Glad we could recognize that.
Next is resolution R6C 2023 special purchase of IT equipment.
So this resolution addresses our next item on the list, which I'll let Richard jump up and we can address them both, but this allows us to utilize our special purchasing authority under Indiana code to enter into a contract with the same vendor that we currently purchase our equipment from. All the equipment will just slide right in. It sounds like they're giving us a significant discount for purchasing now instead of waiting. We're getting last year's pricing. Is that right, Richard? Correct. And so this resolution is to allow us to enter into the contract without having to go through the full bid process. We don't expect we would get any lower bids based on the significantly lower pricing that we're getting from the company.
So let's approve the resolution first, and then we'll move on to Richard's input on the purchase itself. So are there any other questions on the resolution? If not, do we have a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Commissioner Fleming, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Dieter, how do you vote? Commissioner Baxmeyer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Now, we can move on to approval of the quote for technology refresh for countywide infrastructure.
Okay.
Richard, can you talk a little more about
Well,
What's gonna happen?
How we got in this situation and
yes, this is for our countywide infrastructure for all of our servers and virtual servers and storage that the county has. It is once this purchase is good, it's good for 3 to 5 years. We do a refresh after 5 years, and so I don't expect another refresh for this for another 5 years.
however, I think when the time comes for a refresh again, we're going to,
That is correct. When the time comes for refresh, we will solicit quotes well ahead of time to have something in place, so we can find a better price, or if there is a better price.
if we were not to approve this, what is the consequences for the county in the
It's-
short term?
If this is not approved, then the consequences would be if anything happens to this, our hardware or anything we're not covered, we'll just lose that, that support, and the hardware is actually out of date, so. So we'll lose all the capability of upgrading or doing anything to it, so we'll just be down for a while.
This is essential to keep our
That is correct.
capabilities going.
That is correct.
And this is 198,342
Yes, sir.
and 15 cents, something like that.
Yes.
But you said that we saved $20,000.
Yes, we saved with purchase, yes.
Good. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that.
You're welcome.
There are no other questions or comments. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the quote of technology refresh.
Second,
Commissioner Fleming, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Dieter, how do you
Aye.
vote? Commissioner Baxmeyer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next, we're moving on to procurement. First item is the approval of the interior county city building lobby renovation bid award.
Bree Roberts, Director of Procurement for St. Joseph County, offices here on the 7th floor. So procurement, along with our vendor partner Creative Design Solutions, have reviewed the bid submitted for the interior county city building lobby renovation project. Larson Danielson is the low bidder with a base bid of $243,830. We would ask that for acceptance of that base bid, along with alternates as follows. Alternate A1 laminate for column surrounds in the amount of $34,173. A2 ceiling paint in the amount of $14,572. A3 for walk-off carpet in the amount of $20,843. And A4 we would respectfully reject for a total bid amount with accepted alternates, $313,418. Procurement finds this favorable and asks for your acceptance of this bid.
what do you do with A4 that's rejected?
That is the gypsum at the stairs where the brick is. And I think we had, my personal opinion is I like the brick. I think, Commissioner Baxmeyer was the same. So we just opted to reject that if it's acceptable.
And then the paint, is that for the paint or the paint labor?
Yeah, that's everything. So that's the ceiling paint.
I have no further questions at this time.
Just for clarification, the walk-off carpet is in the main entrance.
Right, yep, in the breezeway area and then into where the security would be. And Brian did have some concerns with regard to the radiant heat flooring in that entryway. And I did get some guidance from CDS as to the carpet being installed on top of that, and I think we'll be okay. I have some guidance that I'll pass on to the vendor.
And for clarification on that walk-off, it's sky, it's not when you hit a home run, it's just going like.
The only walk off I know.
We don't blow it out.
Any other questions?
No questions, but I'd like to thank Bree of being on top of this tremendously from the start. It's been almost a 2-year process of trying to get all this stuff done to upgrade the entire area down there. So again, good job. Appreciate all your work.
She does do a great job.
Being no further comments, do we have a motion?
So the motion would be to award this item to Larson Danielson, correct? Okay,
Second. Commissioner Fleming, how do you vote?
aye.
Commissioner Dieter, how do you vote? Commissioner Baxmeyer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Since you're here, let's move on to the next item. Amazon email domain ownership.
So this one before you today is an ownership authorization form. This will claim our domain at sjcindiana.com for use in relation only to St. Joseph County's existing Amazon business account. Essentially, this will not allow employees or anyone else assigned an email with the domain at sjcindiana.com to go out and create personal Amazon accounts with that email address. And procurement finds this favorable and asks for your approval.
I think that's a good idea.
No cost, there's no cost associated with
Nope.
this.
None whatsoever, and I did speak with Richard about it, and he is also in favor.
So who'd you say was in favor?
Richard, we had a
Richard?
conversation about it as well.
Any other questions or comments?
Negative.
If not, do we have a motion?
A motion to approve,
Second.
Commissioner Fleming, how do you vote?
aye.
Commissioner Dieter, how do you vote?
All right.
Commissioner Baxmeyer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carried.
In the same vein, next is approval of authorization for the Amazon business account administration and setup.
And it is just that, essentially, this will allow Amazon staff to go into our account through this authorization and make some needed updates and changes. The items that will be involved in, they will be involved in assisting with are listed, within the paperwork that was submitted, the very specific set of items. Essentially, when we set up this account initially, I was kind of just doing it based on how I thought it would work, and it has worked, but I think there are some changes that could be made, but it's just time consuming going in and changing people's roles within the system and things like that. So Amazon did offer to do this for us free of charge. And procurement also finds this one favorable and asks for your approval.
You said it was free of charge to do this, and they'll
They
be,
just need the authorization because they have to enter our account.
and we've used them in the Amazon.
Yep.
Forever.
Not forever, but yeah, for a long
Long
time.
time.
Yep, long time.
It's a greatly effective thing that I want to do, right?
No, it won't.
No?
Yes, no, it will not. This is essentially just them doing some maintenance for us, and
Okay,
I wish I had more hands to do it, but
gotcha.
I think it makes sense for them to do it.
Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve,
Second.
Commissioner Fleming, how do you vote?
aye.
Commissioner Dieter, how do you vote? Commissioner Baxmeyer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next, approval of the Amazon business contract.
So before you today, for this item is contract number R-TC 17006. It's executed by Prince William County Public Schools in Virginia via partners. As another public agency, we have the opportunity to piggyback off of this existing master contract for the purchase of both products and services. The initial term for this contract was January 19th, 2017 through January 18th, 2022, with an option to renew for 3 additional 2-year periods. The lead agency, being Prince William County Public Schools, did renew this contract as well. Copies of this contract and Prince William County's original evaluation of bidders is attached for your review. The Department of Procurement has worked closely with Amazon to seek out additional cost savings. As this is a vendor we utilize frequently. And utilizing this contract will allow us to see greater discounts across a multitude of product categories. We've also set up filters within Amazon Business to filter to the top things such as local businesses, minority-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, and small businesses within the Amazon marketplace. Procurement finds this contract favorable and asks for your approval.
Questions, comments? Seems very straightforward.
It's very advantageous, not having to do the work.
Back on that one.
Absolutely.
Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Fleming, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Dieter, how do you
Aye.
vote? Commissioner Baxmeyer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries.
And procurement, can we?
We're struggling over here.
I'll send Brian up here to look
I was
at
gonna
it.
say it might be maintenance. I'll work with Brian.
Oh, it's definitely.
Bree, thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Deb.
Moving on to Portage Manor, approval of a purchase agreement for water management services.
Yes, Katie Sweet, the business office manager at Portage Manor. This is just a continuance of last year's contract to make sure that our why did I just drop the word? It's our
Water.
yes, boiler systems are kept up to maintenance and do not corrode
How we heat our buildings.
and cool it. So it's all ran off of water.
So should
Yes.
continue that. Any other questions or comments regarding this?
It is to help the employee, or not the employees, but the people that live there too.
Yeah, it's how we heat and cool the building.
Right,
Yes.
yeah, which is good.
The hallways, bedrooms,
Yeah.
the offices all have at least one.
Yeah, good. Great.
We have a motion.
Oh, motion to approve.
Commissioner Fleming, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Dieter, how do you vote? Commissioner Baxmeyer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Yay.
Moving on to infrastructure planning and growth. Approval of the bid award for Angela Boulevard over the St. Joseph River. Morning.
Sky Meadows Department of Infrastructure Planning and Growth, offices on the 7th and 11th floor. What this item is we received the bids recently, I believe on February 7th. We've had our consultant look at those, we've looked at them, and what we would like to do, we did receive 3 bids. One of those bids was incomplete. But with the other 2, we've had base bid amounts of $407,899.21 from Milestone Contractors North, $463,536.01 from Reith Riley. After reviewing those bids, we recommend that the project be awarded to Milestone Contractors North in the amount of $407,899.21. And we have funds available from the major cumulative bridge fund. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Yes, the question I have, when would this start and when would it be completed?
We'll probably be able to award it within the next probably 3 to 4 weeks. And we would probably start and shortly after that. And I believe it's a 2-month project. With
How long?
about a 2-month project. I have to look.
During
at
that,
the details.
Mr. Kershaw, so when you go to church, you're gonna have to go up to Cleveland or cut around Riverside.
Yeah, we didn't include a barge or anything like that in the.
No, that's
to
fine,
Be able to
but
get across
are we
the,
putting, or will there be any notices, especially because I know people on
yes,
Riverside and Park Avenue, they put all the speed humps in there and that traffic will be.
yeah, the contractor's required to put up advance notice. And then we'll also get with all the media and on our Facebook page and everything too.
So that bridge is shutting down then?
Yes.
So yeah, let's get it done.
Let's-
Right by Brownsfield Park, which apparently is being named Disney Park.
Any other questions? Not, we have a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Commissioner Fleming, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Dieter, how do you vote? Commissioner Baxmeyer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next item, request to declare intent to perform emergency repairs of a small structure on Redwood Road over Potato Creek.
Yes, last Friday, we got notified about some washouts that were starting to occur along Redwood Road. Between New Road and that should read Osborne Road. I was in a hurry when I wrote this, I apologize. And that washout, we were concerned that it would keep getting bigger, which it did, and so we closed the road. And what this request is we're recommending that you declare this repair an emergency situation, which allows us to work directly with the contractors and engineers to get it repaired as soon as possible, so we can open the road back up. Be happy to answer any questions.
Timeline on repair.
We don't know yet. We're still assessing the issue, and this is the main stem of the water coming out of the lake.
2 weeks.
I would say a month to 2 months minimum. Depends on what we want to do. It's washed out enough that we're probably going to have to replace the structure. And instead of just going through and doing if it's above, what I more or less told them, if it's above $15,000, we'll keep the road closed and fix the structure right and replace it, because it is due for replacement. If we can fix it for 15 grand or less, we'll fix it and then replace it later. So that's more or less and we're assessing it. The engineers are. So I can't really give you a good time
I
frame.
think the lady behind you would like to know.
Certainly would be an inconvenience having it closed, but by the same token, I don't want to put money in for temporary repairs and waste that.
And plus, we can't drive on water yet, so we've got to keep it closed, so. Yeah, we're assessing that. We don't want to just throw money into a patch.
Commissioner Fleming's district.
Yes, which is good to update things, that's for sure. And I saw this today, so yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, any other questions on the emergency repairs request? If not, do we have a motion?
Yeah, there's a motion to approve this.
Second.
Commissioner Fleming, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Dieter, how do you vote? Commissioner Waxmeyer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Final item under infrastructure planning and growth is the memorandum of understanding between the St. Joseph County Parks Board and the St. Joseph County Board of Commissioners.
I guess I'll start. This has been almost a year in the making. Mr. Metters has a significant need for a new garage. The Granger garage is slated for decommissioning and I guess leveling it to clean up some of the issues we had out there. Granger is one of our biggest areas where we have complaints coming regarding snow plowing, potholes, etc. This would give highway the ability to address those issues and provide better service in the highly populated area that is Granger. The parks currently has approximately 120 acres, 115 acres off of Anderson Road. The Parks Board, we've been in discussions with, and Mr. Phil Garrett has been acting as their attorney through this process, is here today. I can answer any questions. The intent is to take 7 acres, put a new highway garage there. We've done all of the studies to ensure that there will not be any environmental issues relating to salt and or fuel. And at this point, the council is slated to discuss putting up ARP funds to both build the garage and also build a park at the Anderson Road location. And that's what this MOU documents. And turn it over to Sky to address the highway.
Yeah, first off, when we say highway garage, the word satellite should be added to that. Because the main focus of this isn't to put all of our operations out at that facility. We plan to use this as a satellite facility. Mainly, we would stage equipment personnel there in the winter. We would store salt there. There would be fueling there. And during the winter, that would allow us quicker access to the Granger area than we currently have, so we can address snow plowing and other issues quicker and better serve that area. There's been a lot of work put into figuring out how many vehicles we will need there, how quickly we can respond from those certain areas. We've looked at other potential areas, and this area seemed to work best given the criteria we had. There will be above ground fuel storage for diesel and unleaded. There will be a salt barn that salt will be stored at. And phase 1 of the project would include that. And then looking at phase 2, that would include a building to house and store trucks during the winter. We would operate out of there. When I say operate, there would be limited operation out of there during the summer. If we have chip sealing going on in that area or other things, we may start from that area and do chip sealing, but the main operations of the garage during the summer months would be out of our Riverside location, not this location. Now, fueling the county fueling, we would be fueling highway trucks, police vehicles and others. So I mean, there would be a greater police presence in that location if some of the police are fueling there and et cetera. Now, with all that said, there's a few things I wanted to mention. Over the past couple of days, there's been some discussion and questions and issues that have come up from residents. And some of the questions there, are very good in there, but others, there's been some misinformation as far as some of the statements, and I'd like to address some of that. Just to make sure that everyone's working from the same thing. I just got into the reason for the site. And it's to serve that whole Granger community better. It allows us quicker access to do service, and it just allows us to maintain the roads in those areas quicker. I explained the satellite facility, explain what phase one would be. Phase one, like I said, it would be fueling, above ground fueling with secondary containment. So if there was a spill, that would be contained on site. And it would also have to be permitted and all the typical permits you would need for fueling station, fueling location. So that would all have to go through IDEM and so forth, so that we're not just going to throw something up and start operating right away. We're going to go through the proper procedures to ensure that they're met, and also that we're not going to negatively impact the environment.
The thumbs up from EPA on that also?
The EPA is part of that. It's going through the IDEM and so forth. But the secondary containment is what we've talked about. Salt storage, there's been a lot of I've seen a lot of comments that if you're going to do salt there, you're going to kill the aquifer. That's just the way that we would handle salt at this location would be, it would be stored inside of a salt barn. The operations would be such that when it's loaded in trucks, it would all be on concrete, what was happening. And there are strict cleanup procedures if there is a spill. Same thing with the fuel. If there's a spill, there's a strict notification and cleanup procedures for that. Salt, if there's a spill, or we already have in place strict cleanup and notification procedures for that. Any runoff from the site is probably less than what you would get of runoff from a road or intersection that we salt in the winter. But the plan would be so that the runoff would not be negatively impacted for the site. In addition to that, all of our facilities require a stormwater pollution prevention plan through IDEM, which is an EPA mandate also. Each one of our garages already have those. That tells what you have to do to anything that would collect pollutants and runoff due to stormwater and so forth. So this facility would have one of those plans. That plan is audited by IDEM on a certain basis. So they come out, they look at it, make sure we're following those requirements. So this facility, a lot similar to all of our other facilities, would have that type of a thing in place. And there would be an access drive or road that would be built to allow access off of Anderson. So it would go back in between the current and Crane site that is there, which is an industrial land use just west of the proposed site. And we would access off of that drive into the park. There would also be screening requirements that we would help. That would make it so that the goal would be so that you don't see the entire garage from the road. That would be the goal of the screening, and also to help with the sound. During the winter, I mentioned that you would have a increased presence at the site. And, that would be, day shift. Our night shift is a small fraction of our day shift. So it wouldn't be trucks constantly in and out of there, trucks constantly backing up. So during the winter on our night shift, you wouldn't have 20 trucks constantly making noise there. It would be a small amount. Let me see here. There was some mention regarding, let's see, I talked about that, roadkills. Something came up that said that it said roadkill will be collected and stored at the site. There's never been any discussion or consideration for roadkill at this site. We just would not be taking it there and disposing of it there. That's just never been a discussion.
It was out to Crumbstown, right?
Yes. The other discussion was about the widening of Gas Ditch. That is not part of this project. The widening gas ditch is a project that is being done by the Drainage Board as part of a layer grant, which we received from the DNR. What they'll be doing is widening that ditch to what is quote unquote a two-stage ditch, which is a heavily favored solution to ditches as far as environmentalists go and people in drainage. And a lot of people are pushing for this for any type of ditch construction. So this is something that we have a grant from the DNR to do. And, you know, it increases capacity, connects to the floodplains, and it's good for the environment. So that isn't part of this project, it's part of a Drainage Board project, but what they're doing is what people are pushing to be done for those types of channel capacity projects. And, you know, another comment was the ecosystem will be completely upset. Now, there's no proof behind this statement whatsoever. There's no facts to support that. And our plan is to not pollute any of the environment. You know, that aquifer is the same aquifer our water is on. I mean, I care for it just as much as anyone. So our plan is to put the measures in place so there aren't these environmental issues and to not pollute the environment. Am I saying that there won't be, there's not going to be any type of spill whatsoever there? I can't say that, but we have measures in place in case that does happen to minimize any type of impact. That's for the design.
We've got Mr. Krumkowski here from DLZ, and I don't know if you want to address any of the environmental concerns.
There's a plan in place, you know, in terms of any spills. And when we talk about spills, the loading and unloading of the vehicles, it's going to be on a concrete pad. And so there's cleanup measures that are in place. And so it's not what salt storage was 20 years ago, that you just kept it out in the open and everything just spilled wherever it spilled, whenever it rained or snowed. So there are measures in place. We'd be following the current standards from the EPA and IDEM. There is filing that has to take place and permit approvals. And so I just want to confirm what Sky mentioned. That is the plan. It's consistent what we've been talking about for well over a year now, and it's really necessary to provide that service for that area of the county that currently is lacking. That also had probably the most, I don't want to say complaints, but most requests for information or complaints, if you want to say, during snow plowing and other things throughout the year from the number of calls that came in. So that's also to address that as well. So.
Yeah, good job, Scott. I would suggest that we go, you got another question, Phil?
Just to, most of us know what secondary containment is for the above ground fuel tanks. Can you talk a little more detail for that?
So in terms of the containment of the fueling, the fuel cells or the container that holds the fuel actually is double walled. So that's primary for spills that would occur. And then also it's all stored within a curved area that has the capacity. So if one of those tanks, something does fail, it's actually contained within that. And then in addition to that, where you're actually doing the dispensing and the fueling, that area is also a concrete paved area. It goes to, in the event that there would be a spillage or an overrun, whatever, there's automatic shutoffs on the valves, just like you have on commercial passenger vehicles. You have those also within this. It's mandated that you do that. And then it also goes into a holding tank that is pumped out. So there's measures that are in place that you're not spilling, if it's not running out of the area. Also the perimeter, there is on-site storage of rainwater and so forth, which natural filtration through plantings and so forth would be implemented as well. So those are all things that are sort of standard procedures, and many of them are dictated by IDEM and others. So,
Good job, Scott. I would suggest that commissioners and whatever council members and representatives, in addition to what the park plans, we have a couple community meetings out there with dates, locations, so we stop all of the stuff that people don't know about and are assuming the worst, just to address those head on, so we can start doing that. How does that sound, Sky? We're happy to do it. I'll be there with you. Okay. So we'll find out, I think. The originator of a lot of the emails, I think Spence Walton was that, and any other people that. From Harris or whatever, we can hook up with and find a place to go and invite everybody, so we're all on the same page of what we're talking about, so. I will facilitate that, Mr. Commissioner, that's okay.
I'll if you want to allow, I think Steve Slosson's on and Phil's here for the parks. I guess my understanding is that approximately $4 million will be used to develop the Anderson Road Park. The additional monies that are being allotted to the parks will be used over at the St. Pat's location for an upgrade to the Blue Barn. I know Mr. Slosson had indicated, there he is. He wanted to have several community listening sessions, see what the needs are, but in conjunction with the highway garage, the parks will have some say over what the screening is, what type of vegetation is planted. And Mr. Slosson, if you don't mind, it'd be great.
Kind of as Sky has mentioned, and we have received a lot of comments from the area residents, and they seem to be kind of ramping up their efforts and dislike for the county garage facility going out there. And so
Can
I
you
think
tell everybody who you are?
Steve Slosson, Executive Director for the St. Joseph County Parks Department.
There you go.
And so anyhow, I think that, that's been the park board's biggest concern, was a lot of the environmental issues out there, the spilling of the fluid, the fuel and stuff. There's actually a gentleman who used to own an environmental company that lives right across the street from Anderson Road that has brought up a lot of these concerns. But I think in what I heard today, the stuff that Sky explained and some of the stuff from DLC, I think the park board was under the impression that they were going to receive some sort of environmental update from DLZ that would give them some assurances that everything was in place out there to make sure that these kind of things didn't happen, or if they did happen, that they would be contained. And what I heard today was very helpful. So I think if we could have the same presentation for the park board, I think it would be helpful. I don't know if it will ease the residents' concerns. I know they're planning a meeting coming up here. I want to say it's like March 12th or something like that to discuss some of these issues. So we received, numerous, kind of like Sky, we're receiving numerous emails and concerns about the project. But I think the reason that we're involved in it is obviously we own the property out there, and we want to, if we can get a park built out there that will serve the taxpayers, as well as, this county maintenance facility that we can share with the county, I think it's a win-win for everybody. And so I think that's where the park board's coming from. They'd like to see the park get developed. We've owned the property for a long time and would like to see it developed at some point in time. We just received this most recent copy of the MOU last Thursday, so the park board really hasn't had the opportunity to review it yet, but we were planning on doing it at our next park board meeting and distributing it beforehand, so everybody had a chance to look at it.
When's your next park board meeting?
March 21st.
What meeting was on the 12th?
We're being told through the grapevine that the citizens of some of the citizens that live in that area are having a meeting that afternoon at 5 o'clock at the McGann Hay Funeral Home or something like that to discuss some of the concerns they have out there. So,
and send that to me.
Yeah, once we get a confirmation from them, I'll let you know for sure.
Okay, thanks, man.
And I know myself and some of the park board members plan on being there, but I also believe it would be helpful if we had representation from, the county. I keep telling people that the county garage project is a county project, and we're interested in developing the park. So there are two distinct programs, but yet a great partnership.
You guys still meet at 9, right?
Yes, sir.
On the 21st.
Yeah, and I believe that meeting is here at St. Patrick's County Park.
Okay. Yeah, we'll find a way to turn our meeting around and come out there. And Mr. Mish usually brings all the
That's all we
food.
spent on those mornings.
Yeah, like I say, I think what the park board is really looking for is they don't want, I guess they don't want to be responsible for doing something out there that's environmentally unfriendly, because we are in the environmental business, and so we want to make sure we're doing things accordingly. But myself and I think others don't believe that the county would ever build anything out there that would be, that would cause these type of issues. But I think the residents are just looking for some sort of reassurance for that, and the park board as well. And then I think
Sure.
they'll feel a lot
We'll
better
be out
about
there.
it.
We will do that. We have to
No,
excuse Commissioner Fleming.
have
She
to
has a medical appointment, so. we'll-
Can we go ahead and
we'll talk
pass
to-
it? Can we pass it then?
Any other questions on the MOU? If not, do we have a motion to approve? And
So moved. Oh, motion to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Fleming, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Dieter, how do you
Aye.
vote? Commissioner Baxmeyer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Have to go. Good seeing everybody.
Old business, we are not gonna untable that. Approval for the grant for the health department. New business,
I've got a new business.
I was just gonna ask.
Thanks, Deb.
Thank you.
What we have here, Mr. Caruso, is a new form. Because many people come to privilege of the floor for their 3 minutes. Some people just want to vent, which is cool. But this is a form that we will have available at every meeting. So if there's something specifically that you would like us to fill out and follow up on, you let us know. Right? Your concerns and give it to us, and then we will tell you the next day of who's going to be in charge of getting you that information.
So rather than speaking.
Well, you can speak if you want.
Still speak then.
You want to speak? So this is privilege of the floor, it's business. Okay, that's new business.
Great. Let's move on to public comment. Mr. Caruso.
All right, this is I'm Christine Galvez, Galwas is my name. And I'm here in concern, I live in South Bend in an old subdivision, which is off of Ironwood Road. And I live on Bridgeview Drive. I will be happy to supply all that information to you. And I'm sorry, Mr. Fleming has left, but I feel it's terrible that Portage Manor has just been cut out of everything. I am addressing a letter to all the commissioners and to the county council meeting, and I understand their meeting tonight. And they will have on their agenda, something, the 3423 and 3323 bills to release $3,000 or $3 million for the closure of Portage Manor. I am asking the commissioners to change your votes regarding Portage Manor. I'm also going to ask the county council members to vote no on those two bills. Please do not provide the $3 million in funds to begin the closure of Portage Manor. Apply that $3 million to something that will help the residents stay in their home. And something like making sure their roof isn't leaking. Please find other ways to make the place break even and do not begin the process of closing down. As I sit here now, you have spent how many millions of dollars right now in approval of things that you've given approval on today? It's a lot of money. What part of that could have gone to Portage Manor to keep it functional? I'd like to know how any of you can feel deep down in your hearts that closing Portage Manor is the proper thing to do. Yeah, I understand it'll cost a lot of money to upgrade the manor to current standards to be eligible for Medicare, Medicaid. But what about the emotional cost to the residents that are living at the manor? Could each of you put yourselves in place of the residents? Or what if your son, who was a football player, could get CTE and have to live in a facility? What would you do if somebody wanted to move him out of that facility? How would you feel if they were moved an hour or two away? Would they be happy about it? You are negatively affecting people with a mental disability and pulling them out of their safe, secure surroundings. I have to take a drink, sorry. Has anyone consulted with any mental health professionals in the area about this? This will mentally affect them for years. If you can even find a good nursing home to put them in that will accept Medicaid patients. I've been there and I've done that. My mom had to be placed in a nursing home some years ago and was on Medicaid. It was hard to find a place. The first facility she was in, we did not like. She did have friends there though. I found another place for my mom.
which I felt was a lot better for her everyday living. But she was never happy with me because I took her away from her friends.
Your 3 minutes are up. Thank you so much.
Can I speak for a little bit more if I fill out the form? I was told that if I filled out a form that I could speak for longer than 3 minutes.
No, I told you to fill out the form, you can speak your whole speech, you can only speak for 3 minutes.
Okay, I want
Have
to,
something written. Please leave that with us.
I will be happy to. I just think you people are making one hell of a stupid mistake to shut down Portage Manor. It's
We gotta
been
move
there
on to the next. Thank you.
I'll be happy to pass this on to you.
Now, Mr. Caruso.
Dan Caruso, 305 Conference Street, New Carlisle. I emailed the commissioners and the county council and a few other people, surveyor, about the events that of last Tuesday evening's area plan commission, not Tuesday afternoon's area plan commission meeting, and the tabling of the IEC overlay. I want to go about, I guess, in parts. First part I want to address is regional chamber, Jeff Ray, president, claim that he was not asked to participate in the IEC overlay process. Didn't say he didn't know about it. He said we weren't asked to participate. And comes up last Tuesday and says, since we weren't asked to participate, I'm crying foul and we've got to go back and redo this. Forget all the work everybody's done for the past 3, 4, 5 months, putting this overlay together. He knows it's been going on. He knew this was happening and he knew this was his escape clause when he couldn't get anybody, nobody to come into the IEC. We wasted $17 million on acquisitions, surveys, appraisals, just wasting, flushing TIF fund taxpayer money down a hole out there. And he's going to say, well, I wasn't invited to participate in the new overlay process, so I don't agree with it. We need to sit down. Part 2 of my argument. I met a gentleman about 2.5 years ago who spoke to me downstairs, explained to me he was running for commissioner. He explained to me that it was the worst thing he'd ever seen, the lack of communication between the county and the residents of an area, which was New Carlisle Olive Township. And he said, elect him commissioner and he would do what he could to stop that from happening. Now, Derek was taken away from us, moved over to another area. He no longer represents us, but he still sits on that body. And right now I understand there are closed door meetings going on without public involvement to accommodate Jeff Ray and remove some of the commitments. He said the things were too restricted. What the slaughterhouse, no slaughterhouse, no shredder. We already got one of those. No spread, no any kind of garbage operation over there. What is it that you don't like, Jeff? No, it's you knew you weren't getting anybody to come in there and it was an escape clause and you're buying yourself for time. And Derek, I am really baffled by you not getting involved in saying you can't have these closed door meetings. You can't exclude the public. This has to be transparent. Whether we use the overlay we've got, whether they do reduce some of the commitments, whatever.
3 minutes are up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Perform.
Anybody else?
I'll get one on the way out.
Make the comment.
Okay. Ann Kaser, 65747 Redwood Road. So I heard 1 to 2 months for this bridge to possibly be fixed. Maybe we could consider repaving the road. If you're gonna shut it down, repave it. It hasn't been done. It's pothole. It's horrible. It is from 4 to new. It's horrible. It is a main road to get to the park. Campers up and down all summer long on the weekends. So it is a very highly traveled road. And also, can we take the barrier down at State Road 4 and Redwood? Because when you're coming through, you have to turn into oncoming traffic. I have to turn north.
Fill it out and we'll get an answer for you.
So
Thank you.
Exactly want to have those. Thank you for your comments. Anybody, excuse me, anyone else in the room wish to speak?
Yes, thank you. Joe Broden, 201 West North Shore Triangle area. I know there was discussion earlier in the agenda about the Angela Bridge repair work and closures. I want to thank Councilmember Dieter for his questions with regard to the timing and duration. However, I'm wondering if the actual scope of the project and then specifically the preservation aspects for the bridge could be addressed by staff. And not only on that bridge, but I also understand that 933 Michigan Bridge is also being looked at for some extensive repairs. So I'm just asking for some communications and if staff could be available similar to and a commissioner to address these two significant projects that have impact on the adjacent neighborhoods and of course commuters to our largest places of employment and hospitals and schools. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak?
Roy Signs, 426 South Mead Street, South Bend. It's interesting. I think it's interesting that 46350 is going to have the opportunity for community input regarding a garage, but it seems like as the gentleman from Lakeville mentioned, as well as we know with Portage Manor, there was not a lot of opportunity on the front end of things. So that's a little disheartening to see that there's going to be opportunity for public input regarding a garage and salt and not where we place 105 individuals and the continuous inflow of individuals that could fill those beds. The second thing is, will this form be posted and how does that relate to individuals who are zooming in? And then with the if the plan does go through with closing Portage Manor down, are there already plans in the making for the use of the 100+ acres over there, or will those be open bid for so that we can find out what's going on with that, or is that going to be done behind closed doors, or has it already been done and decided what is going to happen with Portage Manor there? The last thing is, obviously we have a national mental health crisis that that addresses the country, not just St. Joseph County and South Bend and Mishawaka and Granger. In speaking with professionals throughout the country regarding mental health, one of the comments that keeps coming up is that mental health, addiction, and homelessness are not a rich people's problem. And so, with the median income of St. Joseph County being not very reflective of that, how does the leadership for the county plan to address mental health illness for our community so that we can have safe communities and not have shootings in schools and school parking lots? Thank you.
Mary, I believe you're next.
Thank you, Mary Countryman, 52959 Timothy Road, New Carlisle, Indiana. I want to agree with Mr. Caruso on his comments. And the amount of spending in my area for this TIF district is ridiculous. And the build it and they will come has wasted so much money. I would like to know how many acres of farmland have been taken off of the taxes that used to be paying property taxes and are now owned by the county, and we have nothing to show for it except for our property taxes keep going up and up, and residents are tired of that. Thank you.
Anyone else online wish to comment?
I think Mr. Patel was at a medium. Okay.
Seeing no one else, do we have a motion to recess?
So moved.
Second. Mr. Dieter, how do you vote?
Mr. Vice Mayor, any vote?
Aye.
You're recessed.
Thank you very much.